Good evening. My name is Brightops, and welcome back to Mordheim, City of the Damned. As I'm sure those of you who've watched my last video no doubt witnessed, our losing streak is finally over, and it was glorious. So good, in fact, that I was willing to delay finishing the poll on what subject to discuss during my next video because, well, I wanted to play again. We also have a new face to the Iron Wolves. What's black and white and red all over? Turns out it's called Sinister 7. Glad to have you with us. Now then, let us see what the day shall bring. See, very little, actually. We still have Cyclone and Grey Vested, who are recovering from their injuries, but otherwise, just normal day. Okay, let's see. For those of you interested, I'm not planning on doing the campaign mission until we've unlocked at least a second hero slot. Simply because having someone else who is a good heavy hitter would be really welcome. So let us see what jobs we have today. A walk in the fog. Each warband deploys in a wide arc from their wagon, far from each other. Let's see what destroys on their wagon. The others scattered around the area, scared by something. And okay, it appears we're going for a walk in the fog.
Scouts have reported a rival warband in the vicinity. Before you can find them, a heavy fog settles over the ruins. Unable to pick up the enemy's trail, your warriors deploy from their wagon and spread out to sweep the area in search of your foe.
Now, first things first, before I deploy, what are we up against? Huh. Oh wait, I think we're up against the Skaven this time. Hurrah, we're up against rat people. 'Cause that's always fun. On the plus side, we can actually spread out a little bit more when it comes to our actual mission. Ah yes. The thing about the Skaven is that they tend to be fast little bastards. So they are not the kind of enemy you want to go up against if your people have been scattered everywhere, simply because they will run you down very easily. Okay. But with that out of the way, it might be a little while before we actually encounter them because of how far away we actually have deployed. So this time around, we're actually going to be talking about the various abilities that are inherent to the various classes. Because for example, the smuggler, who we are witnessing here, Miss Lana, she has a couple of perks to her. The first bit, of course, being the fact that she is immune to the various traps and all that are around Mordheim. She can walk into them and she will not be affected by them. Admittingly, this covers both the negative and positive ones, so she won't benefit from a positive, but she won't be harmed by negatives either, which honestly has a fair bit going for it. But she also, naturally moves pretty damn fast. She's incredibly quick. She moves 1 meter more than everyone else by default. This little blue circle here. So she can move around the field of battle pretty damn quickly. Let's see, where are we going? Ah yes, we're going up this way. Now where will this woodstone be? As for inherent abilities, she also gains what is called, as we can see on the screen, the Black Powder Trap. Which basically means she puts down what looks like an item bag where she is, and if an enemy walks into it, it will explode and do damage to them and anything nearby. Which is a pretty useful thing to have, no questions about it. Ah, yes. And now we have Trevor, the marksman. The marksman mook gains an ability known as Chain Shot. Effectively, it means that for every time I'll have to double check to see if it's every time they actually hit with a ranged weapon or if they just fire, their chance to hit with the next ranged attack goes up by 10%. And this is a stacking ability. So they can do some pretty serious constant damage if you can set them up right. And of course we've got Sirius, who is hang on, just double check what their actual name is. He is by his instinct a warrior. They have their ability doesn't really come into effect until a bit later on, when they've leveled up a little bit, because their ability is every time they connect with a melee attack, they will increase the odds of hitting with their next melee attack or skill by 10%. Which as you can imagine, is pretty useful. As we've learned in the past, however, that doesn't really come into effect either if you miss or if you just don't survive long enough to actually get a second hit in. As I'm just saying, it tends to be a bit more effective later on when they've leveled up a bit, because that means they can have multiple attacks in the one turn. And last but not least is our captain. The captain does not have inherent perks, but he does have one ability. It's a passive ability. It basically I can't remember exactly what it's called at the moment, but what it means is they get a natural bonus to being able to parry. They're naturally good at it. That's kind of why I have been designing the captain around shields. So the captain's around shields, because the parrying is what they're good at, and it's where their strength lies. Of course, there are enemies out there that are pretty much immune to parrying. They have an item called a bracer, rather than a proper weapon. Usually they're pretty monstrous creatures that can do this kind of... They can use bracer, but basically usually actual monsters or demons. Demons, but what it means is that not only do they do damage, but they're immune to the parry stance. They can just bypass it altogether. They give no shits whatsoever. So it's generally useful to have people who are good at dodging. I would go into detail about some of the other heroes of the mercenaries, but I haven't actually been able to look too closely at them yet. Let's see, we've got another cluster here.
Objectives updated.
I do apologize if there's not much action, but in this particular deployment we did start quite a fair distance away from the enemy team. But knowing the Skaven, they will close the distance sooner or later. Not only do they have a pretty high initiative, they're also fairly quick. They also have fairly high movement. Ah, yes, something else that I should probably be mentioning that will be coming up in the near future is basically leveling up, gaining new abilities and such. It can be done. As you level up, you gain skill points that you can invest in, as I said, abilities. Both passive and active. For example, a good example of this would be... Oh, I don't know. Ah, yes. A good example is dodging and parrying. You can take passive ability skills in dodging or parrying that improves your ability to do either of them. Likewise, you can also pick an active one, which means under this circumstance, if I was to, it's basically
A new round has started.
The active parry and dodge is called Web of Steel, and I can't remember. Oh, hello, we've got contact. Yep, we've got one of their heroes. See, I told you that we would find them sooner or later. Another interesting little thing that we should be paying attention to is the enemy have also been gathering words down, which means we have an extra incentive of killing the little shits. Because we can kill them and loot it off of them. It saves us a lot of time and trouble hunting it down. Okay, there's their warband leader. And one of their mooks. Ooh, Trevor is not in a good position. Not in a good spot at all. Well, Sinister 7, let's go see if we can... Well, if nothing else, we've managed to... Ooh, that is a very good start. Oh boy. I'm hoping you don't die, Trevor. I'm hoping you don't die. And he's down. Frustrating, but can't be helped. Alright. Alright, let's go see if we can slow these bastards down. Avenge the Trevor! Damn. Swing and a miss. On the plus side, because we managed to get people into position, we're not going to get teamed up and destroyed one by one like Trevor just did, unfortunately. I will confess I did not realize just how quick they... I knew the Skaven were quick, but I didn't think that they would be able to close the distance quite as quickly as they have. Let's see... Well, damn. I was hoping I'd be able to actually get that hit, but oh well. Wow. Sorry, I'm so used to being credited and stunned again, having it used against us. It's very strange to have it work in our favor for once. I confess I would go into detail about the abilities of the Skaven, but I haven't actually used the Skaven myself yet, so I don't really know what abilities they have inherent to themselves. Annoying, but it can't be helped. Now let's see, which of these little piggies is going to have the stone? I'm guessing the heroes, likely, because they're the fastest and generally have the most slot space. I will admit, losing Trevor so early on in this engagement, well, it sucks. He would be very useful right now, but what's done is done, and sometimes you just have to make the best of a bad situation. Hopefully he'll still have his gun. Hopefully we'll get his gun back. Because it would be awful if we were to have it stolen. Ah, yes. Probably why these two Skaven are so much slower than the others is that they are very likely to be wearing heavy armor. The heavier armor you've got, well, I'm pretty sure you've likely guessed, the slower you are. And it not just an initiative, but it also limits how far you can actually move per point of movement. Which can be problematic, because it means that the people best suited for basically taking damage and being at the front of the party are also the slowest. And there goes their warband leader. See you in hell, you ratty bastard. On the plus side, you also have stone. Let's see, mace. Warplock pistols. These are a firearm that's basically unique to the Skaven. Non-Skaven can't really use them, which is a shame, because they're pretty useful.
Updated.
Alright. Well, she can't carry any more, so we're gonna might as well use her to help speed up this battle here. Because if they're gonna be slow and not make it to the party, then we might as well take advantage of that. Ah, yes, a little something about the all alone check. Retreating from battle only really works if, well, if you're able to actually disengage from combat. If you're fenced in, like if you're pincered and you can't actually disengage, then
Objectives updated.
well, you don't disengage. You just sort of stand there. You don't get any attack bonuses or anything, but you do get. But you basically just sort of stand there. You don't get attacked, but likewise you don't get to defend yourself. Which is why not failing the all-alone check is kind of important. And victory is ours again. Unfortunately, we didn't get the sub-objective, but well, we got some. We did get some. We have to take what victories you can.
A warrior needs a bit of luck and a lot of skill to win a battle. But most of all, he needs strategy. You have managed to find the winning mixture. Now just be careful not to lose it.
Okay, let's see how we did. Amnesia, but sucks, but Could be far worse. As we've had it before, there's been far worse.
Remarkable.
We have 1 level up. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that Sinister 7 was one of the customizable mooks we had before, so they were already leveled up.
New warriors are available for hire.
And we have gained a new
Your
hero
warband
slot.
is getting stronger.
And can hire a new type of hero. Let's see what we can get. Let's see, first pay our bills. Alright, let's see what we can hire. We've got Smuggler, we've got the Wolf Priest of Auric, who is a divine spellcaster. As we saw with the Sisters of Sigma, okay. When it comes to spell work in Mordheim, there are basically 2 fields. There are your arcane spellcasters, which is what the leader of the Chaos Warband is, and you've got divine spellcasters, which is kind of like a cleric or a paladin. Or in this case, a warrior priest is what they're called. I will admit I've generally had fairly bad luck with spellcasters in the past, though with a wolf priest, their abilities tend to be designed for boosting their abilities in melee combat, so they tend to have a lot more survivability to them than others. But let's see what else we've got. We've got the Youngblood, who is... I'm not really sure what perk they have. They are a hero, but I'm not really sure what their actual deal is. But let's see, what else we got? We've got the Warlock, the arcane spellcaster. We will not be using a Warlock, simply at this point in time, because I've had incredibly bad luck with them. They tend not to survive too long. But let's see, any particular other okay, well, because we're called the Iron Wolves, I guess we will be picking... Oh, seriously, his name is... We already have a Conrad, we will be renaming you, but... we will be renaming you at some point, but we have ourselves a Wolf Priest for the time being. Anyway, this has been our 5th episode of Mordheim, and my name is Brightops, and I look forward to hearing from you.